All right. So what we're going to do is, if you go to your menu, the little dragon icon up in the top left, and you go down to reconnaissance, okay, you get all those tools that we walked through that the other day, the other class. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to, let's see, web scanning, and I think it's in there or not. The hardest part is finding the tool. All right, it's under host information. All right, you've got two of them there. You got one that says Spiderfoot and one that says Spiderfoot CLI. CLI is command line interface. So basically working it straight from the shell. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and we're going to hit Spiderfoot. Okay, and all it does is open a window up and print the help screen. Okay, so this is what you probably want to pay attention to. You have to start it first. Okay, it's not started. So if you type in Spiderfoot and then do -H, you get that same help command again. Okay. But if you type in -L, and you can see on the screen, this probably not on this screen, but maybe on yours because it looks kind of small, you got a -L, and then beside it it says IP:/port. Okay, so that's the command we're going to use to start the server. So we're going to do -L, and then the IP, we're going to use a special IP. Okay, we really didn't talk about this on the IP sections, but it's called localhost. Does anybody know what that is? Anybody heard of it? Okay, it's 127.0.0.1, and that means your machine. Okay, so we're going to put that in 127.0.0.1. Then we're going to put a colon, and now we're going to do the port, and we're going to run this on port 5001, 5001. And we hit it, and you're going to see it doing all kinds of stuff in the background. Oh, it failed. Why did this fail? I bet you it's because it's already running. Hang on a second. Let me kill this one. And back here. Yeah, it's already running back here. So let me kill it and start it again. Control C. All right. And then right there, the exact same command, Spiderfoot -L 127.0.0.1 5001. Okay, so that started it, and you can see you can't do anything else with the command prompt. If I hit enter, it's just a blank line, right? That means the daemon is running. So if we now go to our browser, if I can get my computer to respond here. Come on, you can do it. All right, and we go back here to Spiderfoot, and we go to 127.0.0.1 5001. Did you guys know y'all could specify a port on the URL to go to? So like if you're running, you could run a web server at home and run it on port 81 instead of port 80. And if you put in :81, it'll go to that web page. But so you have to specify it though. But you can see I ran a whole bunch of different scans here. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to set up a scan and how to run it. All right, so we're going to do new scan. Well, actually, before I show you that, let me show you some of the settings you can have, because this is where it's kind of amazing. Okay, if you go to settings up there and you kind of scroll down, you see all these global settings in this column right here. Okay, these are all the things you can check. So you can check. They got a routine called global, one called storage, abstract API, abuse.ch, which is an abuse site. They track malicious IPs and stuff. And you got this whole big long list. And like right here, you got Alien Vault OTX. That's a online cyber threat intel company. And you scroll, I mean, this is a huge list. And every one where you see a little padlock beside it, that means you got to have an API key or access from that company. So like if we scroll down, you can see Shodan here, okay? And I went ahead and put my API key in, You can see it right here. Okay, and I'll have to change that tonight because it's going on the recording and you guys have seen it, so I don't want y'all using it, so I'll have to go change it when I get home. And you can do that pretty easily with these companies. So you've got all these things that you can do, and there's just, I mean, a ton of them. So let's go back to a scan. We'll go to new scan, and you can see that we've got a scan name and a target. So you got to put a scan name in. So I don't know what company you guys want to scan. Any suggestions? Huh? What is it? What is it?
My dad, like a company my dad works for.
Okay, how do you spell it?
Let me see.
And you have the website for it. We need a starting point, so we can do the website.
Okay, I have to look up Logistiview, and see if they have like I don't know the exact. It's probably like www.logistiview.com or something, but I don't know the.
Yeah, I just want to know how to spell the company.
LOG.
All right, let's see. LOG. IST. IV. IEW. Okay. So let me go do a quick search because I mean, like, this is exactly how we would do recon on a company if we got hired to do a pen test. All right, so let's go over here and open up another browser. Oh, come on. This thing is not cooperating. We'll just do it over here. All right, we're just going to type in that and hit enter and let's see what happens. Logistiview. Okay, they got a website, logistiview.com. Okay, so now if the tools that we used last time, just to get a starting point, if we were to do that real quick and we went to domain dossier and put this name in, it would give us the IP that it would go to, right? So let's do that real quick. And by the way, these will be on your test. So the test is heavy on, it's only 10 questions, so it's not too heavy, but it's on domain dossier and Shodan, doing some stuff there. So in, let's see, .com, we're going to do a DNS search, a network whois, and a domain whois. All right, so we got an IP address for it now. So let's just put the domain name in, just the company name, because you can put all kinds of stuff in. I'm not sure that I actually even, if you look at this gray box right here, it gives you some examples of what you can search on. We can search on a domain name, an IP address, either version 4 or version 6, host name and subdomain, a subnet, a Bitcoin address, an email address, a phone number, a human name, a username, or a network ASN. Okay, so we're just going to go right with logistiview.com. Okay, well, we're just going to call it Logistiview, and we're going to put that down here as the .com. That's your target. Okay, and we got some options here. Okay, right in this area right here, you got some options. You can do everything, which means it's going to, every one of those tools that were in there, it's going to scan. You can just do a footprint. So if you just want to see how big their footprint is, you can do an investigation, like as if you were going to investigate them, which is going to dig up it's going to narrow the search scope down, but to some things that would be more relevant. And then you got passive. Like, let's say you don't want them to know that you're doing this. You can hit passive, and it will just check the sources that are publicly available. So, all right, so once you've got those things set, you hit run scan now. And you see stuff in the background happening over there, okay? If you keep watching, you'll see that thing just start going crazy, and it's doing all kinds of stuff. And then right here it says it's starting, okay, right there. Now it says it's running, and it's starting to pop some things up that it's finding. It's found its BGP AS membership, its domain name, internet name, linked URL, physical location, some other raw data, and the web server. And it's just going to keep going. And if we pop over here, you got these tabs across the top here. If we go into browse, it'll let you start looking at this stuff right now as it's still running the scan. Okay, so if we pop over to browse, okay, you can see we're finding all kinds of stuff, right? So right off the bat, internet name, okay? Here's things that are, here's internet domains that are related to the company, okay? So you're finding all kinds of cool stuff here. One that I see right off the bat that would be a target is this one right here, okay? That's an external site that's not theirs, but they store data there. Okay, it's Logistic View Cloud. They own it, and it's like information or storage that they bought, you know, through say AWS or another cloud service provider. Mm-hmm. But that would be one that we target right off the bat because it's probably got data stored there.
Yeah, they're doing like glasses for TJ Maxx, and that's what the TJX is for, because they're making like smart glasses for.
Yeah, so if I was a competitor, that's the one I would go after. If I wanted to get data and you know business intelligence and steal their product or what they're doing. So, all right, and then we've got just a ton of stuff in here. Let's see if I can get this thing to. What is going on with this? My mouse is not cooperating. There we go. So you see we got a lot of stuff down here, and then like right here, one.zoho.com. That's probably just a tool that they use, or something they're using as part of their network. So if we go back to browse, just go over here and hit the little browse button. You see, we still got a lot of crap going on in here, right? I mean, this thing's going to town. It's just you see it ripping in the back there, and we start looking at all this. Like let's see, email address. We found an email address: info@logistiview.com and seth.patton@logistiview.com.
That's one of their people.
Yeah. So you can see it's digging up all the stuff. Instead of you having to go to every one of these sites, right, and pop it in, this does it for you. It's so much easier. And it'll run for quite some time. Like I say, I ran one against Blue Cross, and I ran it for about 2 days. Just let it run continuously, all day, all night. And I can show you that when we can go back to scans real quick. And as you can see, it's the top one, and it's still running. And it has found 758 items of information that would be relevant for what we searched for so far. If you look down toward the bottom, you've got one that says aborted, right? I stopped it, okay? It's got 42,816 things it found, okay? And I stopped it. It would have probably ran for a week scanning and digging all this information up. So the reason we want to show you guys this is with all this recon that's available, this is one tool. And Callie has got what did we see, like 40 tools just for recon? And that's just the ones that are installed. We could install more. With all this data there, how can you guys protect yourself, right? I mean, think about it. There's a lot of information in here that it's just pulling off of free open sources. I only have one API key in here, and that's for Shodan. Everything else it's pulling out of publicly available information. So that email address that we saw for that company, that came out of publicly available information. Now, it could be on the website, which I would recommend against. Putting something like info at the company name is good, but you never want to put your name out there. Like, don't put it in LinkedIn, don't put it in Facebook, don't put it anywhere online, because it's going to make it so much easier for someone to grab that information and then target you. So you got to think, to be a defender or to keep yourself secure, you have to think like the bad guy. So while this thing is still running, let's go back and check on it real quick. If I can get this to go. Oh, not new scans, and Logistic View. All right, so you can see, a whole bunch of URLs here. 338 unique URLs. So it probably crawled your website for the company. Hopefully they have things that, or don't have things that they don't want public on there. And if we go to browse and let's look at some of that stuff and see what it found. Linked URL, external 64. Here's a LinkedIn.com, Seth Patton. Y'all need to talk to him.
Yeah.
So it found, based on, okay, his email address for the company that he had somewhere, it found his LinkedIn address, and he's now the software is now relating him to the company from another site that's not related. Okay, so imagine what would happen if someone searched maybe one of your emails, and where would it find it at? Any guinea pigs? Want to do a test? Let's see what else we can find in here. You'd be surprised what you'll find. I do a thing at work where different departments, they will have cybersecurity come in and do a presentation. And one of the things we do, my boss comes in and he explains, what we do in the different teams and all this stuff. And when they walk in, we hand them a sheet of paper to everybody that walks in. And what it has on it is, what school did you go to? What was your high school? What was your high school mascot? What was your college mascot? When did you get married? What was your maiden name? All this stuff, right? Your grandkids' names, your kids' names, their birthdays, what's your street address, and all this stuff. Would you guys fill something like that out? I hope not. Okay, and every one of them, whenever it got to my part, I'm like, how many of y'all filled out the paperwork? And everybody said, no, we would never give you that information. What they don't know is, about 4 days before, they gave me a list of everybody that was going to be there, and I did 15 minutes of search on each one of them and found all that information. And so I put a PowerPoint up, and it just shows the information. And it's like, we don't want to rat anybody out, so I'm like, does anybody recognize these high schools and these mascots? Anybody, do any of these dates look like your anniversary date? Do any of these dates look like your kids' birthdays? Are any of these kids' names yours? And we just list the first name. Is this address yours? And they're all like freaking out at this point because they're like, where did you get that? And I'm like, you put it on Facebook. So protect yourselves, because you see, this is one simple tool. There's another one called Maltego that we'll talk about a little bit too, but it's kind of hard for you guys because you have to buy tokens to use it. You only get like 200 tokens a month, and I think a one DNS query is like 30 tokens. So you'll be done in like 2 minutes, and you won't get a whole lot of information. But it's really cool. But for companies like us, we spend $6,000 a year, or about 7,000, because it's like 6,000 euro. So it's like $7,000 a year per person to use it. So if you got 10 people on a team, it's kind of expensive. It's more than a car. So some of these tools are really good, but they're pricey. But the open source ones, like this one, Spiderfoot, this is a fantastic tool. So if we go back up and look at some more data that it's turned up, you can see there's a lot of data in here. Here's the internal URLs. Let's see now. What this does is it is grabbing this one that says console is kind of disturbing, but that looks like it might be access to some sort of portal or something. Yeah. Nice. You probably don't want that one accessible to anybody on the internet. You'll start seeing things that are linked inside, like this one, console polyfills.686d2f whatever.js down there. That's a JavaScript. We can have fun with that. So having that publicly accessible is a bad thing. But this is what your reconnaissance turns up. Okay? So let's go ahead and just stop this scan, if it's not already stopped. No, it's still going. All right, let's abort it.
This company doesn't have law cybersecurity.
A lot of companies, depending on the size of the company, they may not have a staff. They may send it out to what's called an MSSP, a managed security services provider, like Comporium Telephone Company. They try to do this, and they kind of partner with another company, but they're terrible at it. It's not their fault. It's just that they didn't choose well, and it's because of price. To get a good company like, say, SecureWorks or Mandiant or somebody like that, we charge $400 an hour per person. Whenever we're doing work for them, like forensics. So it's kind of expensive. They can't afford to do that for a footprint the size that Comporium has. So it just doesn't make sense. So they try to get this, best deal they can, and they go with these, kind of third tier companies that they can do some of the job, but not much of it. But you get a lot of these companies, like, I don't know how big this company is. I'm going to guess probably somewhere in the mid-range, probably maybe 20 to 50 people. Does that sound about right? Okay, so a company like this, they're not going to have a cybersecurity staff at all. They're going to maybe have an IT guy, maybe. They probably call somebody out, but, to service them when they have problems. It's just because it makes business sense. But you get a company like, Blue Cross, and we've got 20 people just on the technical cyber threat intelligence / SOC side of the house. So, which is kind of large. Most companies will only have 1 or 2 people. So, all righty. Okay, so let's stop. Please stop.
Oh, I found scripts. Interesting. I found on the very bottom it said web content, and then I found like a bunch of scripts.
Yeah. Now you can use a tool called like Burp Suite, where you basically go to that script, where you go to a web page, and it actually allows you to see everything that's happening on the web page in real time and allow you to inject things. So like if you see it going to a JavaScript and it's passing some arguments to it, before it actually passes the argument, you can modify the argument. So imagine what you can do with that. Web application penetration testing is fun. So, all right, let's look through some of these other ones here. Okay. I looked at that one that I showed you guys the other day, the ou812.shabinks.com. Okay. And this is what should happen on a lockdown system. Okay. I've got, the thing is set up, it's got ACLs in place that will only allow certain IP addresses to connect to it on certain ports. Okay, so like I do a lot of my pen testing stuff with this. This is where we send our data to. This is part of our infrastructure. Okay, so it will only accept connections from the IP addresses that I am working on. So like if I'm pen testing Blue Cross, it'll have an ACL in there that says only let these IPs connect. Because we don't want anybody to connect to it. And you can see there's nothing there. Okay, it's just got a name, and that's pretty much it. So now if you go to Shodan, there's no information in Shodan on it. But there is one port open, and that's port 22, but it's still locked down, so only like Comporium IP addresses for my neighborhood and my work address and a few other addresses can actually get to it. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go through the class. But if we go back over and look at something else here, let's go look at some of the Blue Cross data, okay? And this is doing just publicly available information. You can do this to any company you want, okay? Because it's public data. But if we scroll down here, I want to show you one particular thing. Hacked email addresses. Okay. Are you guys familiar with the website Have I Been Pwned? Y'all heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, what it is there's this dude who started collecting breach data and pulling out the email addresses and put them on a website where you can go search. So if you go to Have I Been Pwned right now and type in your email address, it'll tell you if you've been compromised and what compromise it came from. Or you can use Spiderfoot and just go, if you know what your you can put your email address in and it'll go through and check it for you. But if you look down here, these are people that work for Blue Cross, and it tells you, it gives you some data here. So, like, let's see, have you ever heard of the company Evite? You know, it does like birthday party invitations, things like that, right? Well, it got breached. And if you have an account on there or you've ever used it and you stuck your email address in there, guess what? It was compromised. So now, if you logged in with your email address, like let's say you have a Gmail account and you went to Evite because you're having a birthday party and you wanted to send everybody an invitation, right? You put your email address in there and you created an account. Did you use the same password? Okay, it's going to be the same email address, right? You know, did you use the same password on Evite that you did for Gmail or Walmart or Amazon or any of these other companies that force you to use your email for a user account? If you did, and Evite got compromised, guess what? They can take your information now because they got the password from Evite. They now have your email address, which is your username, and your password. So every place that you've used that password combination, they have that information and can log into it.
And if you have a password sent to you via email, they can get all that stuff too.
Yes. So, I mean, literally, they could, at that point, if they broke in at Evite and they got that data, they can then say, hey, where else is this guy at? And they can run a tool like, say, I don't know, Spiderfoot, and look for that email address, and it's going to tell them every place where it knows about them, right? So let's say you got a LinkedIn account and a Gmail account that you use that email address for and that same password. They can now log into your LinkedIn account, change your photo, edit everything, send out some really nasty messages to all your contacts. Then they can go to your Gmail account and copy everything in your Gmail account to their account, then delete everything and change the password so you can never get back in. And Google's not going to help you. Yeah, I tell you, it's you have to be careful because even if you use Proton Mail or any of the other ones that are supposedly secure, they got the same problem. They all run the same software on the back end. They're all running the same, email service software. So you got to be careful. So you see all this stuff that's here, and you're never going to be completely secure. Just, put that behind you. Don't even try to think about that. But as you go through all this data, you can see that there is a bunch of stuff in here. Human names. It found 137 human names, okay, that it can associate with that company. So you'd have to go through and look at it all. You may get some stuff that, is bogus, but still, it's a starting point. You're getting a lot of data. So, for this week, I'll put it up tonight. I'm going to give you guys some searches to go do on yourself. Okay? So, but we'll do things like putting in an email address. So, if we, let's see, scans. Man, this thing, the mouse here is not working very well with Callie. All right. Let's see. It found 1,101 elements so far. If you just let it keep running, it's going to find it. All right, let's see if it'll let us run a new scan real quick. All right. Who we want to search for? Thoughts? A person. Yeah, ratting him out. I see. How about we do somebody, a public figure? Let's see what we can come up with. Let's do Trump. President's always a good one to do because, they got their name out there everywhere, right? So, the human name, we got to put double quotes around it there. And why do we have to do that? Everybody remember from somebody else's stuff? If you don't put the quotes around it, it's two separate searches. All right, let's just see what happens. What it may not run because the other one's running. Yes, I think it is having an issue. But y'all can try that one at home as well. Just any famous person. Now a lot of times you get like actors, actresses, singers, things like that. They don't use their real names. So if you do one of theirs, you're not going to get anything of value. But if you know like their real name, like if you know, I don't know, whoever, whatever actor, if you know that person's real name, not their stage name, and search it, you'll probably get something interesting. Because all this data is public. Now, with some of this, you can go even deeper because, you guys are too young to know this, but like the tax records, okay? If I go buy a house, I have to put my real name in, right? So if you know an actor's real name, or athletes are good because they actually go by their real name. If you want to see where they bought a house, just if you know they live in, say, Miami, you can go to Miami-Dade County and look at the tax records and find that person's name and find the property they live at, so you can get their address. Not that I'm telling y'all to do that. I'm just saying that the reconnaissance tools that you have available allow you to do a whole lot, and this is most of it is public information. Now, if you buy access to some of these other sites, like there's a lot of sites that go ahead and get all this information and put it in these massive databases, right? And then they sell access to it, and they link stuff together because, like, if you look at intelligence in general, right? You have indicators, little tidbits of information, okay? So, like, if I know that you're in you have a Facebook account, right? And I know that your birth date is May 11th. We'll just go with that date, right? And then I look at other sites related to your name. I start taking all these little indicators, okay, and putting them all together. And it don't take a whole lot before you've got what's considered private or personally identifiable information, PII. And at that point, you can get loans, you can buy a house, you can do all kinds of things in that person's name. You get credit cards and leave you holding the debt. So, the reconnaissance, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get all these indicators and piece it together. So like when we were looking at the stuff for that company, okay, so doing human name, it only come up with one thing.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, let's see what it was. Yeah, you have to play. And all it does is just tell you that it's the name probably. Yeah, and that's it. So, but as you go and do this, you'll find, let's go back to our scan real quick in the last few minutes we got here. And if we look at Logistive View, 1141, and it's still going apparently. But,
Or like new email.
yeah, let's see if they got any hacked emails. I don't see any. It may not have got to that tool yet, though.
Well, there's not like a ton of people working, so.
I guarantee you, 90% of the people that work there have a username, an email address on breached accounts. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you mine. Let's pick one real quick. This is a good thing to show you guys.
Oh, I just noticed that. And my old email address had been.
Oh yeah. It's hard. It's hard anymore. To not find. I got a list that we use, and we basically use his list and the passwords. And I got like 13 billion passwords. Okay, and we hashed them all out, and I got that in my password cracker. So it don't take long to crack passwords. All right, so let's put mine in. Okay, so if we put this one in, I've had this one since Gmail started. I was in the first batch. I've been in 21 breaches. Okay, and look at the first one there, Advanced Auto Parts.
I was
That's
looking
the
at
same one that they have.
Yep.
I haven't been reached though.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now then, let's look at another email that I don't give out. Okay.
Went after advanced auto parts.
One I don't get.
Well, think about it. Okay, you go to Advanced Auto Parts, and just like every grocery store, they push their loyalty card. You know, here, give us your email address so we can send you coupons so you can save money. And you know, for them, it's a big plus. It's a marketing gimmick, right? For us, we you know, if they don't secure the data, we get the bad end of that stick. So now let's type in another one here.
Can you see who did the data breaches?
If you have the API, you can actually go in and get the passwords and stuff, which is what we've done. And actually, Troy, the guy that runs it, Troy Hunt, he actually gave us he just gave us a data transfer and said, here, you can have this. Let's see if speedshooters.com has been breached. 7, okay. Now let's do okay, this is take that A out. This is the photo business, and I don't think I've ever used that one to do anything. 3 breaches. I've never logged in with that anywhere. And I've been breached. It was included a Gravatar, 123RF. Okay, that one makes sense. And 500PX, because that's my photography stuff. Okay, so 2 photo sites were completely breached. All right. So, all right, I'll put something up tonight for, I'll put the tape of the class up. Hopefully it all recorded okay. And I'll put up an assignment. The test is live now, so you guys have the whole week to work on it. Sound good? All righty.